college to test their mothering skills. So she had this like robot baby that she's looking after, yeah. And she had it in one of those carry cases, and she was having a fag. She was smoking right over this this carry case for the baby, and we got dirty looks from some ladies at the bus stop. It was well funny. It was just a robot, but yeah, that was quite embarrassing. But I mean, the point is about harassing them as well. It's like when Chris was saying, the doctor told her mum that it would be less stressful if she kept smoking a little bit. You could go up to someone on the street and start harassing them. It could be the first fag they've had in a week. You don't know that. That's the point. Although, yeah, I'd still turn my nose up. I'd still be like, what the fuck? But I don't know if I'd go over and start, ripping into her. Because you don't know, it could be the first fag they've had in a week,
Yeah, all I'm going to say is there's very few people that are actually going to say anything. I don't walk up to people and do this. I mean, there's some prego last year, she's wearing spandex to make her pregnancy stick out even further. I mean, it was like a show pregnancy, and I just so wanted to yell at this bitch who's got foreigners raising her other kids, all right? She's just having show kids, and it's all a fucking goddamn adventure she's on. And I almost felt like just saying, what the fuck are you doing? Can't you find a life for yourself? Do you have to do this designer pet thing? I'm going to have some designer kids, like a designer pet. I'm going to have them, with the special manicured ears, and maybe I'll even enter him in the, some sort of pet show. I could get the greatest, I can get his hair done and get it a little poofed up. And these people aren't even having kids for any goddamn good reason. And I feel like saying something. And I know that would be rude. But something should say something. Billboards should say something. It should be graffitied on a wall somewhere that you fucking slut should not have kids unless you want to take full responsibility for this goddamn Frankenstein experiment you're conducting.
I want to say something. I don't want to talk about my mother. I mean, Ben brought her, and I don't want to talk that particular case because I know it's going to be used against me at some point because this is how petty these fucking people are. But I'm going to talk in general, okay? I think that if you're making the decision to have a pregnancy, right, to have a child, you should do some steps before that. You should take some fucking vitamins. You should give up smoking. You should be healthy for it. If you make the conscious, I'm not talking about accidents, but if you make the conscious decision to have a child, you should take all these preventive measures to ensure that that fucking life that you're bringing into the world, that again didn't ask to be born, you're basically imposing life, right? You should at least make your fucking best efforts to ensure that that life has the best chances to be healthy and to live a fucking normal life. And yeah, if I decided to be pregnant, right, and I was a smoker, I would first be giving up smoking. That's like the logical thing to do. If my husband was a smoker, I would take that shit, I would tell him to take that shit elsewhere, either to give up smoking or to never bring smoke inside the house while I'm pregnant and while I have a little kid. I mean, isn't this fucking plain logic, people? Come on.
Yeah, well, why don't we pay people who fit in that profile, okay? So we can put the carrot in there. So instead of giving direct subsidies like automatic tax breaks and all that stuff, let's make them conditional on what condition you're in. So even poor people could get a couple of more $1,000 from the government, a couple extra grand, if they are ready to have a kid. And they do have followed the little 10-step program we have for them about these little do's and don'ts. And if they successfully accomplish the little do's and don't list, they get an extra $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000.
Oh, I like that. Incentivizing responsible behavior and providing training for it. No, that sounds. I've got no issue. Do want to throw in very quickly, just because I have to. The word butthurt is like punching a hole in the bottom of the credibility jug. It's just like it automatically reduces ability to take what is being said seriously.
Well,
there's a reason Congress doesn't talk like 4chan. It's because 4chan sounds retarded.
well, I'm old enough to still find it charming, so it still works for me. I don't use it too often, but it still works on me. Yeah, he is butthurt. You're damn right. Yeah, you're right. I do that sometimes.
Don't kid yourself. 4chan has more power than Congress.
A fact that I try not to think about when there's any alcohol to be had in the house.
Yeah, I don't really see what the point of bringing up Congress is. We're not, members of any parliamentary body here. We're just people talking, and I'm not really interested in being that kind of person anyway. But she's been doing this for several weeks, where she's consistently talking trash about me and others, accusing us of things. So, yeah, it's become apparent that it's not just like some little thing. This video of mine, by the way, is no longer up. Like most of my videos are no longer up. So a lot of things have happened past, few weeks that I don't want to get into right now that, I'm considering not doing videos anymore. But regardless, it's just stupid. It was a video to kind of illustrate many different points where I think that women are dehumanized when they're pregnant. That's all. It's pointless. I wasn't making any statements about what I think should be done about it. I wasn't making any statements about, I think this is, women should smoke when they're pregnant. It's just stupid. It's just a pointless fucking conversation to have because nobody's making these arguments that it's a good thing to smoke when you're pregnant or that you shouldn't be judged for it. I wasn't even making that argument.
Well, do you think that most people, I'm sorry, I don't want to disengage somebody else's.
Didn't you just make the argument a little while ago that your mother was smoking while she was pregnant with you? Didn't you use this as an argument
that your mother was pregnant with you when she smoked
and you're fine?
Isn't that petty of you to bring up my mother? Why are you talking about my mother? Isn't that petty?
No, they're not being objectivized. It's not like men are going, make me a pivot. Like, not like that.
Up my mother. I said that come on, she let me answer. God, dude, please. I didn't make the argument that Ben was petty to bring up my mother. I never said that. I said that I'm not going to give details about her pregnancy, details that I personally know. I'm not going to discuss that case because I know you are very able to bring that shit on. Like you always try to, Romanian pussy is the cheapest pussy. You keep on, taking jabs at Coughlin for the fucking peach thing. I know you use these kind of things against people, so I'm not going to talk about what happened to my mother, how she got pregnant and so on. That was my only point. And I'm not talking about your mother, I'm talking about your fucking argument. Right?
Exactly. You use the argument that it's really not a harm because look how fine I came out. You did do that, okay? And that's not the point. The point is we statistically know that cigarettes are not good for people.
I wasn't making that argument.
Well, I'm sorry. That's how it turned out. That's how I think if we took a poll of everybody, that's how it would be interpreted by everybody who heard it. So, but look, this is just going to get worse and worse. Obviously there's a lot of people who don't like each other here and don't like each other's rhetoric, and it just, you can't argue that it's hostile and then call people, bimbos and shit. That's not going to work as rhetoric. So that's only going to incite more rhetoric. The point is that fine. So if you're saying your video, all you have to do is say, yes, I'm not as, just you already qualified your video, okay? You've qualified it. And you said I didn't intend to make the argument that people should be assholes. I was making the argument that women are in a vulnerable position and they shouldn't be called assholes too recklessly or too easily. Okay, so you've sort of qualified, so we get it now, okay? You're not really saying that women can't be assholes when they're pregnant. You are saying they can be assholes, and they maybe should sometimes be called on being assholes, okay? But it shouldn't get out of hand because there's a lot of women in a vulnerable position, and they don't need any of this extra bashing taking place. I would like to argue, though, your whole point that somehow pregnancy is some burden imposed by men. I think I don't know what the statistics are, but I think most people exist because it was the mother's idea, not the father's idea in this modern culture. Okay, he's not. I don't think men are saying, hey, babe, can you pop another one of those out? Can we do another one of those 9-month things, where you're puking all over the place and shit? Yeah, let's do that again. That was fun. I don't think that's happening.
I can feel my Kinsey numbers, my place on the Kinsey scale, shifting as this conversation goes on.
Hey, if we keep this up, we're going to have to
Gary,
rename
where
it
have
from
I made
MVP
that
info.
argument? I don't believe that.
Well, it sounded in your qualification of your video that you were implying that somehow men are using pregnancy against women in some way, that somehow this is an imposition being imposed by men. And it's not an imposition being imposed, so you'll concede that it's not. It's this choice made by women. Not because they're subjugated, not because they're
Even
whipped,
said
not
that.
because they're... Well, I'm just saying. So we're agreeable that this is a thing women do. This isn't a thing men make women do.
I made some pretty origami. I made this tonight. It's called the double pinwheel. It's made out of small pieces of paper.
What the hell?
I just thought I would inject a little bit of nice creative energy into this whole thing.
That's the thing that turns into like a spiky halo, isn't it?
Look, about what Gary said earlier, that the conversation is too hostile and shit. I mean, I think we can skip past that and deal with the argument. I mean, I don't mind the insult. I mean, if she wants, if she fucking wants to call me a bimbo, she can call me a bimbo. I can call her a psycho fucking bitch hag from hell, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that I cannot also address her arguments.
I just wanted to say that I'm about to head to bed, and this has been really awesome. I hope you guys have fun with the chat room and everything, and thank you to Gary for wearing pants for the occasion. Have a good night.
Yeah, well, guest. See, I'm a guest, so I take on more responsibility. Yeah, no, I'm not opposed to people insulting each other. The point is, it's just as a bystander, okay, somebody looking at it, who's usually in it. Yeah, it just incites a lot of, defensiveness, and that's kind of unconstructive, that's all. So it'd be better if we could tone it down, get less personal, and just get to the fact that, okay, there's an argument about stuff, and, we don't, the disagreement isn't, I think, from description here, quite as black and white as it seems. And these are always tricky subjects, and so maybe it's like, Karina, we disagree on the whole hooker thing. And there's a point where it can start to get personal, and it's just good not to go there, though. I mean, not to make it some sort of personal, like this is part of who I am and what I am. It's just a subject, and we can disagree on it, and I don't even think there's as much disagreement as is just being implied by the hostile atmosphere.
Yeah, one thing I have to add, and I didn't accuse you of flagging people at all. I said that it's my suspicion that someone within your circle of friends is flagging these videos down. I specifically said that it is my opinion and I have no fucking evidence for it besides the coincidental factor of it, which was at the time at least too much for me to believe it was merely a coincidence. I specifically said I didn't think you were the one doing it, for once, because I don't consider you like mentally capable to create a flagging like bot system or to have the time to do so many stock accounts. So I didn't say that you personally did that. I said that someone who, wants, on one hand, wants to keep the guilt away from you might do this. Because most of the people who got flagged got into arguments with you. Just that they also got into arguments with Ben was just merely coincidental.
And this has what to do with a major social issue in today's culture?
Nothing. She was
False-flagging is a
comments
serious issue in today's
because I was
culture.
accusing her of shit I didn't really accuse
I
her.
love how you made that into something about today's culture. It's good.
Okay. Excuse me then, I've been told false information by several people who come to these rooms every single week. So, yeah. You weren't accusing me, you were
Well, that's
accusing my
recorded.
friends.
It's recorded.
Okay.
My words are on the internet.
So who do you think it is, Karina? I mean, what? We've got like, what, 3 people in our group here?
It was
Oh,
me.
how many? Who was it? Who do you think is doing it? And what's this coincidence as well?
Well, I expressed...
I think it does matter. What? No, sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting
I
you.
expressed... would you let me answer? I expressed the same fucking suspicion I did a while ago. Close your mic because there's feedback. I did a while ago when there was that whole incident with that Cherry or Sherry, whatever fuck her name was, Carla thing. That you know that video went up. Please close your mic, whoever is keeping it open. Please close your mic, whoever is keeping it open. Close your mic. Okay, seriously? Okay. So I just didn't think it was a coincidence back then that one day after that video went up, Ben lost his channel. I mean, I do believe that most coincidences are just coincidence, but not this much. Also, all those channels, you know, with Shredder and Vector, who got banned from YouTube, you also had heated conflicts with them. I mean, it was obviously either someone who was out to get Ben, or someone who was just out to get people who hated you or who you hated. So it was someone who had to do something with this drama.
Well, I'm one of Nuke's friends, so I guess I fall into that category. I've lost 3 channels to false flagging. I don't false flag. So there you go. There's my answer for you, Karina. No, I didn't false flag shit.
I didn't accuse you either. I said that somebody had a connection with all of y'all. This is what I was saying, basically, that those channels did not get flagged randomly.
I just want to say those ladies don't give a fuck about the arguments that I get into with people. I really don't think any of them would even care enough to flag videos made against me by people. They know I can handle it. I mean, I woke up to find that shit happening. Terry was at work, and Dalton actually been away off the internet for a few days, so it was all a surprise to them as well. Yeah, I think who's done it is someone who just wanted to turn everyone against each other.
Yeah, John Paul Doran.
But them lot, they don't
John Paul Doran. John Paul Doran. Okay, he shot Kennedy and he did this too. He's a fucking cunt. John Paul Doran.
Oh, yes. For those who don't know, I have a YouTube account. However, I don't talk about anything serious on it because I know I don't want to get into that bag of trouble. However, I do plan on starting one where I will. But I'm pretty sure nobody wants to hear about that. That's not what I want to say. On the topic of false flagging, what are some famous cases of people that have some pretty famous YouTube accounts? Because I've never seen anybody here's YouTube account. But what are some YouTube accounts I might have heard of that got false flagged that would be gone now?
Do not die. Yeah.
Well, come on, we don't really need to direct the discussions there. I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of people who got flagged, but about this double standard of me accusing you and bullshit, that was just bullshit. No, sorry, I just want to make the point that I was accused by Diana of false flagging her. I mean, she was saying that I pissed her off and this person pissed her off and that person, so it must be one of them, right? But she's not getting called on for it, right, by you, Nuke. she saying that is perfectly okay, but me making basically the same suspicious opinion that was nothing more than an opinion is a wild fucking accusation. Come the fuck on.
No, if you actually listen to my video, I said I pissed you off, but then I said I'm not accusing you of doing anything. So re-watch the video.
Okay, fine, then in the other video you blatantly accused Coughlin, like full on.
Are you Coughlin? Are you going to speak for him now? I'm not going to answer you if you do.
Oh,
No,
why?
I'm
Why
just
not?
saying that there is a double standard
why not?
for new Catholics to accuse people of accusing other people of false flagging. So I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy of it.
Yeah, well, I'll speak
Go
for
for it,
Coughlin. I mean, if no one else will, I will. Yeah, I'll speak for him. I don't know anything about the subject, though, so I can't. I don't know what to quite say.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Well, I'm just saying that the defense can be made without the actual individual being relevant. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to be in the room to hear the defense. So I'm just saying, if you're saying I didn't do anything in any way of, I didn't commit any unethical behavior whatsoever, there, it's said. You can make your defense without the accuser being present. But anyway, I don't even want to get into all this. I'm just saying, I mean, I hate to be a huge hypocrite and play some sort of role of mitigation and say, well, can't we all be friends? But I really don't think there's enough real stuff left here in the disagreements, and that it's all really now about all this leftover radiation. And so this is just keeps trying to go critical again, okay? It just keeps trying to go critical again. And I think you ought to just get some barium, some barium enemas, and all chill out a little bit and absorb some of that anger and hostility, and chill, dudes, chill.
I say we all just remain enemies and talk about healthcare now instead.
I think I may register an alternate channel under the name of Barium Enema.
That out of all people is Gary being the pacifist and telling people to chill out.
I love the fact that he's telling people to chill out.
I even called you dudes.
I was just showing you my origami. Fuck it. I don't want to fucking fight with people. It's waste too much fucking energy.
Ujama Flipper, yes, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just want to quickly... Okay.
Ujama, gotta turn your mic off. Peace, Forcey guy, whatever. Ujama Flipper, yes, you have the floor.
Okay, healthcare it is then. Which is better, socialism or capitalism?
Ujama Flipper is going to speak now. Ujama Flipper. Ujama Flipper is going to speak now.
Right, yes, everybody quiet. No, I just want to say this while we're on it, because it's already too fucking late, because we've been talking for the last 5 bastard minutes. On that flagging thing, the reason it was annoying that people, making those accusations is because several people weren't just saying, I think it's these people. They were saying, we know it's these people. So that implies they've got some kind of proof, but nobody came out with anything. Oh my fucking God. Mike.
Rough timing there.
So yeah, there was a few people, and you got pretty high profile people like Bogter, not there's some other people like Ashes is the Raven, a few people, and Matt as well, Edible Napalm, which I've got a lot of time for. But yeah, there's a lot of people. Those are people like explicitly saying we know who it is, and that implies proof, not just a fucking hunch. But nobody came out with this proof. Do you not think right? If these people, like a group of people, lost their channels and all their videos, do you not think if they had proof they'd fucking bring it out straight away? Why didn't nobody come out with any fucking evidence at all? Because they're full of shit, and somebody's been stirring it up, and that's the extent of it. Which is annoying, because, some people I like had the channels go down.
And say, are they in the room?
No.
Hey?
I was simply responding, I was just simply responding to what she said, that I accused her, which I didn't. And she was basically justifying calling me names, saying mean things, as she put it, which translates to calling me a whore, a slut, a common bitch, a bimbo, and other, slut-shaming thingies that she's a fan of accusing women of, because I accused her of false flagging, which I did not. So I was just defending myself against that. And I don't care about being called names. I seriously don't.
All slander
Is
and,
someone talking to me?
names
I'm not
aside,
paying
can we talk
attention.
about something else now?
Yeah, okay, well, I think we've reached a point where you can just concede. Okay, yes, there's been these things that happen, and I don't think there's any point Karina keeps saying it doesn't matter, because it does matter. I mean, I just think when the rhetoric starts getting personal, I mean, it does matter. I mean, you're attacking each other's credibility and character, and that matters. It matters to me, all right, because that's always a line I drew. I mean, if somebody starts calling me a Holocaust denier, I get pissed off. I mean, that's the way it works. So, I mean, maybe that's equatable to bimbo. I mean, I don't know, but it might be.
No, what I'm saying is that I'm not saying that, insulting people doesn't matter and calling them, all kind of vile things that have implications behind that. Calling somebody a whore has an implication behind that. I'm not saying that that's okay. What I'm saying is that I personally don't care. I mean, it takes a lot to offend me. Like, seriously, you really, really, really have to struggle to offend me. And so far, I don't think I have given enough ammunition for somebody to really offend me.
Okay, let's just say that there's bad psychology. Look, it's like me and gray text, right? I mean, I don't hate gray text. I don't even got anything much against gray text. But this one stupid thing, this one little accusation popped out of, oh yeah, you're a silly drunk. And, it's never going to be forgotten, okay? Because somebody else picked it up, okay? That other guy, that biodegradable guy, picked up the drunk thing and ran with it. And so now gray text blames me for somebody else's trolling because I said the first magic word and now he's trolling with my magic word. And so that's the implication of this stuff, and it's just all about personality and has nothing to do with my real hostility. I have a hostility towards his ideology, not against him personally at all, but again, I'm going to keep getting blamed for this biodegradable man's existence. And, so how is that what I'm saying? It's an impossible circumstance. I'm just saying, why don't you just concede that there's sort of an impossible circumstance here because there's so much personal animosity that exists. And it's like me and To Be Serious or something. We really aren't just going to be able to sit down to a nice, peaceful dinner. So let's just concede that point and keep our communications kind of long distance.
I have to respond to something in the chat. Yeah, I mean, dude, if you go up on a Steakam, you're gonna have conflicts. Sorry. But the thing is, you said that some of the insults got to me. No, they didn't, because I know that you are one of those people who use personal shit trying to get to people. I mean, you did that to a lot of people before you did that to me. So I was kind of expecting it, like using really personal shit trying to hurt somebody. And what would possibly offend me, saying that Romanian pussy is the cheapest pussy? I mean, I told you that I think that's really transparent of you, and you came back with, your underwear is transparent.
I didn't delete that one.
That's supposed to be a fucking insult. I mean, come on, dude.
Those weren't the ones I was referring to.
I don't know what you deleted.
Right.
I don't know what you deleted.
Whatever.
I have no idea.
Whatever.
This is why I don't have a girlfriend.
Well, yeah. I don't think it's the only reason. I bet you there's others. But whatever. Hey, Pyro. Shitty to see you. Yeah, I really don't like you anymore. I really don't. I mean, it's not that hard to say, you know what, yeah, I'm a selfish fuck. Yeah, I did this kid thing because, yeah, I have a little bit of an ego. I want to see a little pyro running around, a little pyroette. But, yeah, the rest of you assholes really shouldn't have kids because you're all assholes. Instead, you just sit there and, oh, the plant can support 15 billion people. All we have to do is come up with, immutable stainless steel, and, you just have to pour water on it, and you get a stainless steel house and, $1 million. Yeah, I can make those pills tomorrow. We have the technology. We can make those pills tomorrow. Instant house pills. Yeah, we got those. No problem. I mean, this is just such crap. This world is fucked because there's too many fucking idiots on it.
Speaking of pyro, check this out.
Okay, no, I'd like to say something. He just spoke to me, okay, and said he's fucking sick of me. Well, I mean, I'm sick of hearing your whining about it. Two, let me tell you the real reason. The real, and it's, part mistake, and I have admitted to you before. But it was not because I wanted copies of myself. I don't believe in that. I wanted individuals in the world, and if there was a delusion I had to figure out later, it was that I could endeavor at that younger age to create a better situation than I had, because I had a fucked up, weird, kid snatched, all kinds of shit childhood, not some easy childhood, and I was driven to make something better, because I couldn't go back in time and fix my life. I wanted to make a better platform for future people. So that's the fucking real reason. You should analyze that. I'm just sick of you whining about life and then mischaracterizing why I'd explain I'm willing to endure it. Because I've learned how to endure it, and now it's enjoyable. So tough shit. Somebody else didn't figure that out yet, or it was too hard for them. I support suicide. I wanted to make a video about your latest video on that, because I totally support everything you said there.
I know, but again, we're right back to square one.
It also goes for assisted living.
Yeah, you make the nest first. You make the nest before you lay the egg. You don't lay the egg and then say, well, the egg, when it hatches, will make the nest. I mean, that's just bullshit. If we can't prove we can do this
I did have a nest. Excuse me, I had a philosophy degree and managed to get a job as a programmer. And
again, it's not about your personal responsibility, right? That's not the fucking issue, and you know it. I'm not ridiculing your decision as a...
27 years old.
I'm not ridiculing your decision. I'm not making personal accusations about you having kids. I'm making an accusation about the ideology that supports, that defends this whole idea that people are somehow entitled to have kids, that it's not something they have to justify with any kind of purpose or cause or reason to conduct this experiment. And so I'm just saying that you're basically saying that yes, we can have a bunch of poor people in the world reproducing, and somehow we have magic energy and we can all do this and they'll all take care of it and it'll all be fine. And I think that's just a crock of shit.
Population. My feelings have changed a little bit over some recent time in that I used to be more, I don't consider myself a natalist because I want to reduce, people should use birth control, and I believe in abortion, you should be able to make those choices. But I did believe that you couldn't, limit the number of kids that people have like China did, and now, I've softened on that. No, I think you can regulate it in some reasonable way. I'm not pro-natalist, natalists believe, as a full-on natalist, and these are people that, worship, that's actually a moral good, just go forth and multiply. I don't believe that, I believe in the middle, But, I do believe it's kind of a personal decision, a right to make, but, like smoking or some other thing, that, might be bad for you. So...
But it's not you. That's again another part of this argument that we hang on, is that you keep talking like, your personal decision to climb a mountain has nothing to do with your personal decision to conduct the I'm going to create a life experiment. They're two different things. One of them is a responsibility, one of them is a liberty. I mean, they're two different fucking things.
Please don't refer to it as an experiment.
Well, that's what it fucking is in real world practical fact. It's a goddamn experiment. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know. You can't control the inputs and the outputs. It's chemistry out of control. There's no point in calling it anything else but a fucking experiment because it's not guaranteed.
an experiment, you have trial and error. With a kid, there's no trial and error. You either fuck up or you don't fuck up.
Yeah, well, there's trial and error in the overall product that's created through doing the experiment. So that's just bullshit. Of course, we've learned from trial and error. That's why people write books about how to raise kids.
There is trial and error.
So there is lots of trial and error. And the fucking point is there's been a big pile, a big giant, huge, giant, goddamn fucking chasm of gigantic proportion of motherfucking error.
Okay, I will concede your point there. Okay, I will concede.
Gary, do you understand that when you talk about making a technical argument, a logical argument about creation of life, that my response is that you are not creating life at that point. At that point, the sperm, the egg, and as far as I'm concerned, as a pro-choice person, the embryo are part of the mother's body mostly, and for some time one part is the father's body. So you're making decisions about continuing your life, just like when you eat a piece of bread and you give nutrients to your cells so they can divide and reproduce. Your cells are reproducing, right? Every 7 years.
Right, so Typhoid Mary wasn't responsible. Typhoid Mary was not responsible. She was just allowing the biological process to be the biological process. She had no fucking responsibility, no obligation not to keep killing people. She killed families, just killed them over and over and over again. She was told not to do it. The science was explained to her. She just kept denying the fact that she had this responsibility and kept playing the fucking game because she says it's her right, because it's her biology. I mean, that's just bullshit.
That's totally a non sequitur. I mean, I see where you're trying to get at that, because the disease of life, but I don't think life is a disease. You're talking about someone that carried a disease that killed people.
A natural disease, right? A natural. It was natural to her.
So wait, what about
as a carrier?
You're saying that. Sorry that I talked over you, but you're saying then that logic was true, Gary, and I do see the validity, the grains of truth or whatever from my point of view. But if that had validity, then a doctor that saved lives, married the doctor, that she also is to blame. Because that's what you're doing when you procreate. You're giving life. You're not taking it away.
Well, yeah, I believe in the Japanese philosophy. You save a guy from drowning, you're going to be responsible for his life because you've essentially recreated him. You've made that person. He wouldn't be alive if you didn't save him. Now you're responsible for that life. If he goes out and murders people, you're responsible because you saved the motherfucker. All right? And you have the same responsibility you have a fucking kid. If your kid turns out to be a homicidal maniac, you can't undo the fact that you made it happen. Through you, it wouldn't have existed. It's a fact. You can't undo it.
Track responsibility. I mean, I think there's some truth to that, of course. And if you were in that situation, you saved a murderer, maybe you feel responsible to dedicate yourself to tracking him down again. I totally understand that.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, if I had a kid and he was a menace, I'd do the responsible thing and take the motherfucker out because I put him there.
Yeah, well, at some point you have to turn him in or whatever. I agree, and I would be really loath to do that, but I'm definitely. If some of these crazies, the best thing you can do for them is turn them in. It's like you're saving them from themselves because, if you believe in any kind of karma, whether it's spiritual or just like atheistic, like shit's going to come around or you don't want to have to look back on those bad memories or whatever the practical thing, you're helping them too at some point. So, I mean, I agree with that there's some responsibility like that. And, believe me, that my kids are teenagers now, you deal with issues where you're responsible for this person actually leaving legally. And once you're not legally responsible, I still believe there's a responsibility and an involvement, and that's why you should be involved. And sometimes the parents are the person that tips off the cops to this stuff, and it's not because they don't love their kids. It's because they still do. Otherwise, they just get the fuck away like, most people get safe.
All right, well, I'm feeling better about this conversation just because now you're talking more about this being a responsibility and not a right. Because that's where, in my opinion, it's more responsibility than right. It's not just you're not just going golfing or something. It's not like I have a right to go to the theater and listen to some opera. I mean, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about somebody else's welfare who is at jeopardy because of your decision. And if your decision is shit, I mean, you should have to pay some price for that, at least the ridicule of rational people. Rational people should at least be able to ridicule people who have kids for frivolous and irresponsible reasons.
Okay, here's a factor you're not considering here, and this is a factor that I have to bring up because I've seen it firsthand. You're also forgetting that that kid is also a person now. That kid grows up to be a person, and that kid grows up to make his own choices. Now, I've watched my older brother physically attack my mom right in front of me. Like, literally attack her with a battery in his hand, using his fist and just smashing away at my mom. And I've heard my mom scream as he pulled a knife on her in the kitchen as I was up in my room. So you have to understand at some point there are exceptions to this. There are certain points where a parent, there's nothing more they can do for their son. Me and my brother were raised the exact same way, side by side. He turned out a world different from me. And there was
yeah, well, this is part of the risk, though. This is what we've learned through doing all these experiments, is that this is the risk of having kids. And if you don't have the facilities in place to take care of these risks, to take care of the problem, then you have the meltdown, then you have the disaster, because nobody is ever putting anything in place to take care of this problem. I mean, right now we got, 1 million people maybe in nursing homes who don't even know who the fuck they are. And what are we doing? We're spending all these resources to keep these people who don't even know the fuck who they are alive. I mean, there's so many things that we are doing that are completely idiotic and counterproductive to what we want to accomplish. And so I guess if we're that dysfunctional, we should put a little bit, pull in the reins on this experiment and say, let's not do the experiment until we have controls in place to protect against mothers getting beaten by their sons.
Who expects that, who the heck plans for that? Plans that, this child...
I'm not going to argue with you. What, do you think your brother is the first son to punch his mother? It's the first time it's ever happened in human history? Nobody could anticipate the possibility of it happening? Of course we can. Like I said, we've been down this road 7 billion times. We know the experimental likelihoods and probabilities. A certain number of people will be born defective, all right, and be a threat to society. Now, whose responsibility is that? The guy sitting in his house watching cable TV porn, or the fucker who had the kid?
The thing is, Gary,
everything she could for.
The thing is, it's very old church kind of trying to obsess about finding the responsibility. It's somewhat important, but it's far more important to ask how the problem could be solved, don't you think? And the problem could be solved if we didn't have the kind of economic system we have that represses people and represses honest people and fucks people over for having integrity and tries to tell them they should be that way, but then you get fucked over if you act that way. That's the problem. That is a bigger problem than the fucked up parents, because we already have a society where you're not as locked into your fucked up parents as you used to be. You don't have to know them in your 30s or 20s. You don't have to know them a day after 18. You can get out of there at 16. It's a lot easier than it's ever been. And in fact, in history, people just did it anyway. They just ran off when they had these issues. Used to be you could run off even younger, so maybe that was easier in a way. But I think now our society really legitimizes you move away. You don't have to deal with them anymore. So it seems to me that we're
right. How do you make enough of a living to survive when you're 16? You got to be pretty damn fortunate to have a good enough job to be able to survive at 16 on your own. But that's beside the point.
Well, I don't know. I worked since I was 13.
Yeah, well, I can go back to how far I worked too, but I didn't make enough money to pay rent when I was 16. I wasn't making enough money to be able to pay for my rent and pay for my food. That wasn't going to take place.
Well, I had to leave. I left home at 17. And I did have to pay for everything, and my parents were going to pay for college, and they didn't, and I had to drop out of school and work to get back in. So I managed to do that at 17.
Well,
So I know
look,
that it's
you want to have a
fucking
contest? So did I. I left my house when I was 17 too, okay? Because I had a better job at 17 than I did at 16. Because, you know, at 16 and 17, it makes a difference. Every year you get older, you get a better job, you know? And when I was 18, I was even more able to pay the rent. And I even bought a new car when I was 17, a brand new, what do you call it? I paid it in cash. Grand Prix.
My point, though, is that the point is that you can get away from those from your parents, and this is the whole thing too. Like, it takes a village. You know, villages sucked. They were like big families. You wet your bed when you were 7. They remembered it when you were 40. Everybody got pigeonholed. It sucked. We're not in that situation. You can leave that. So if you can even have fucked up parents, and I've had most of my friends have gone through difficult things and have fucked up parents, and you can escape that. You still always deal with it to a certain degree, but you know, you used to have to live in that small town. Used to be, you couldn't even. I was just reading some history. You know, there was laws where you had to go back to your fucking town that you grew up in. They wouldn't let you live somewhere else if they caught you.
Oh, I know, but Pyro, you have to concede that this dysfunctionality usually doesn't result in a successful, well-adjusted human being. It results in somebody who's dysfunctional and might end up even being abusive in his relationship with his kids.
No, I don't look at it.
Well, you don't look at it that way. I'm just saying that statistically, that's the way it works. So, I mean, you know, damage begets damage.
When I did leave home, I entered into an activist culture, and it's full of people that have really fucked up situations, and instead of saying, I'll be fucked up too, which, yeah, maybe is more common, they said, I'm going to fight fucked up things. That's how I'm going to feel better about it. So I'm not going to criticize those people like, I mean, I guess I could say, yeah, there's a good chance they would turn out fucked up and they get extra credit for not turning fucked up. But one of them is worth 100 of these guys that just perpetuate it and can stop 100 of guys. And they're just the people that reform our culture and our attitudes. And so, you know, yeah, maybe there's more people the other way, but so what? One of these guys that'll fight it. My point is that if we make society, you know, when you make economic opportunities so that so an 18-year-old can go get a job without their parents' permission, then that's what's going to solve these problems. That's what's going to
I think what's going to solve the problem is if you had parents that actually took responsibility for what they were doing, and they took care of a kid for maybe the first 30 years of its life. Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay? I mean, that's the better solution, is to do it right from the start. That's my fucking point. So the pound of prevention is worth whatever they say, 500 tons of cure. I mean, or however it goes. Prevent the damn thing in the first place.
Of course. That's what we teach our kids, but we also face the fact that, like you said, so many people aren't going to do that. And my point is, if you have a culture where people can become independent, they sort of figure out a lot of this shit. A lot of people don't seem to have any problem figuring out their parents were assholes. They're much more difficult for them to figure out that they're assholes too to their kids.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point of what I'm talking about, though, is why even start with the assholes? Why don't you have parents that can actually defend what they're doing? Have parents that can defend the responsibility they've taken on, all right? And then you're going to have kids that are going to be those Excel kind of kids because they really took the job seriously. And people are doing it way too sloppy, way too reckless, way too lazy. We're expecting the government to take care of it all for them. I mean, it is a pile of shit.
Let me just tell you my approach, and you can critique it. I agree. I think that we're all flawed, and you teach your kids your flaws in just these weird mindfuck ways. And the less you want to, the more it's going to happen anyway. You would just have to talk to the kids. Somehow you have to make it work out that the kids can figure this stuff out. So my approach has been that I think, from what I know, everybody's parents fucked up the kids somehow. And the responsibility goes back, and yet the kids have to take it as their own responsibility, right? But it does go back to that. So that's going to include me. So when I had kids, I figured, well, I'm going to teach my kids the tools to overcome things, including whatever hang-ups and stuff I give them. I'll tell them as many of the things I figured out about myself so they can have a head start. And they also have to know I probably don't understand it, so, double guess me. and figure out the things I didn't understand well enough to tell them about, and to be able to solve those problems. In other words, you give them the tools to build something. You don't say, I'm like God, let's create a religion and pretend Grandpa was God. I mean, no, you don't do that. You tell them you're human, and I don't think most people do that. If they did, I think it'd be a lot better. Yeah, our kids still have problems, but, they have the tools to improve.
But that's the whole point of my argument, is that the lessons aren't going to get learned if people keep preaching the opposite. And the point is that you had kids for no good reason. All right? What if your kid grows up to be smarter than you, like I said, and says, hey, you know what, Dad? What the fuck were you thinking?